Nagaland has almost 1.2 lakh drug users, out of which a majority of them are heroin and sunflower. So we'll not go by the figure of 1.2 lakh. Let us go by a figure of only about 40,000 users. Okay, so I'm making the figures 1/3 of what actually the problem is. 40,000 drug users, and imagine if each one of them takes half a gram of heroin or sunflower every day. It makes 20,000 grams per day, which is 20 kgs per day. Multiply it by 365 days and you get to almost like 7,000 kgs per annum. Then this is one calculation that a minimum of 7,600 kgs, 7,000 kgs per annum for a figure of 1/3 of actually the number. Okay, so it should work out to be almost 20,000 kgs per annum is the consumption in Nagaland if you go by 1.2 lakhs. Then look at the other side of the calculation, the other part of the calculation. So 20 kgs per day multiplied by 365 is say 7,000 kgs per annum. Multiply it by 1,000, which is grams. Okay, it is 7 lakh grams. And then divide 7 lakh grams by 12.5 grams. 12.5 grams is the quantity which comes in a soap case. Okay, so 7 lakh divided by 1.25 by 12.5. I think the figure comes to almost 5 lakh soap cases per annum in Nagaland. This is the consumption in Nagaland. And can you guess how much we catch in a year? But I will pat my back later, but it is a reality check for what is happening. 5 lakh kgs is being consumed. 5 lakh soap cases of drugs are apparently being consumed in Nagaland every year. And what we end up catching, all agencies put together. Let me also include my underground friends, since they say they also try to fight this problem. Okay. Nagaland Police, Excise Department, Central Agencies, DRI, CBI, maybe NIA, underground. The total number of catches, the total number of soap cases we catch in a year is never going to exceed, has never exceeded about say 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, maybe 10,000 soap cases per annum. So I said, it is not enough. If you look at it, we are actually losing a battle. Okay, these are stark reality checks that we have. We are already losing a battle. I don't think if there is anyone who is sincere enough in this room who does a bit of introspection, I don't think there is anyone around in this room who does not know someone who is a drug user or an abuser or a drug dependent. It is just an arm's length away from you. The problem is an arm's length away from you. A very senior, reputed IPS officer who comes on various debates on national TV, retired officer, you would have seen him on various television channels, Mr. Yashovardhan Azad. So I had called on him about 6-7 months back. He said, boss, itna halat kharab hai, I am not confident that my children, when they are going in the morning and coming back in the evening, they would not get addicted. It's so bad, you know. It is so pervasive, and this is, I'm saying, this is in Delhi. In Nagaland, it's like, it's just available. You just have to ask 3 people, 4 people in the right places, you will get the drugs. And I'm just right now concentrating on the sunflower or the soap cases part of it. I'm not even talking about things like cough syrups, maybe milk tablets, or spasmoproxyvan, or Relipen, and other things. I'm not even saying this. Alprazolam tablets. Luckily, the alprazolam tablets are not available. I needed a sleeping pill about a year back because I had not been able to sleep. I went around from one pharmacy to the other. They didn't get it. So Thankfully, like certain systems are good, you know. I mean, not always lost, but yes, things are available. Uh, so it's pretty bad. Despite all the efforts that we have been doing collectively, I think we have not been doing enough. For those of you who may not be aware, there is a layered mechanism for dealing with drugs. So there is an apex body which is headed at the level by the Union Home Minister. Then there is another one headed by the Union Home Secretary. Then the third one is at the level of in each state there is a body which is headed by the Chief Secretary, and then by the DCs. Okay. Yes, very well conceived, very well structured, but the point is how much time does a DC devote to drug trafficking? Well, I'm not saying it's not definitely DC. I'm saying how much time do we devote to a problem? How much time do we devote to this issue? It's definitely not DC nahi karta hai, Chief Secretary nahi karta hai. That's not the issue. The issue is what is a dedicated structure that we have which devotes time only for this purpose? Sadly, there is none. Let me admit, I am a part of the system. I'm saying sadly, there is none. This is the general coordination mechanism. Then we have something which is called, in all states, we have something which is called an anti-narcotics task force. In Nagaland also we have an anti-narcotics task force. It's headed by the DGP Law and Order. We have a central anti-narcotics task force which is IGCID, ADG, Law and Order, IGCID, one or two SPs in the PHQ SP narcotic and one more, and a group of about 35-40 people. Plus, besides this, we have constituted district level anti-narcotics task forces under an SDPO and an OC. Let me admit honestly that the district level task forces have more or less not performed. Okay? Let me just simply admit it, they have more or less not performed. Taking note of non-performance, we have recently, last week, we have issued fresh quantifiable guidelines on what they should be doing. Okay, that includes outreach programs for, say, going and giving lectures in the schools and all that, but also include things like how many rehab centers are there in your district, how many OST centers are in your district, de-addiction centers are there in your district, how many drug abusers are there in your district, have you met them or not? Please tell us how many you have met. How do I know that they are doing something if they don't tell me? You know, just talking doesn't make any sense. You know, Metha is here, SP Kohima is here. A lot of my officers, they feel bad about my pushing them too hard. But I think there has to be a realization dawning upon everybody that if you don't do it, you run the risk of your own children getting into it somewhere. Okay, it's not for me, it's for everybody. And it's not just that they will take one dose. They will take a dose, they will get addicted to it, and then there are multiple problems that come in the society which we are not able to handle. On my part, I have been very hands-on on this drugs issue, very hands-on on this issue. Almost all cases of narcotics happening in Nagaland, I am more or less personally aware of what is happening. And I feel bad about it, I feel sad about it, I feel angry about it, that our OCs, I'm saying about the police department, our OCs, SDPOs and SPs are not doing enough. If the DG can personally interrogate a few people to find out the links, they should be doing it themselves. But doesn't help. It doesn't happen that way. If I can find time to talk to them, you don't, well, yes, you can find a method, you can talk to them personally, I do call them personally. You don't want to talk to them personally, now you can do a video conferencing. Because all this on the law enforcement level, it happens in small pockets. Unless you are able to connect the dots, you don't have a larger picture of what is happening. It's very important to connect the dots. Unless we coordinate, it will never happen. We will never succeed. I was just thinking when my previous speakers were talking on the issue of demand reduction and supply reduction. I think demand reduction is a battle we will lose. Just quantitatively speaking, we will lose this battle. Okay. Imagine if India has about 2.5-3 crore of say 4 crore drug users. Okay, and potentially, I'm saying these are the drug users or abusers, and potentially everybody can fall into the trap. So you're looking at like 140 crore Indians to be kept away from drugs. Not everybody is bad, but you're looking at this. But supply reduction, if we have 2.5 crore or 3 crore abusers, the supply reduction part, the people who are engaged in drug trafficking, will be about like 4 lakh, 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 15 lakh, 10, 20 lakh, 1 crore. You tell me which is a easier battle to win. Tackling 2.5 crore or 3 crore or 5 crore people, or tackling 2 lakh, so anywhere from say 2 lakh, 3 lakh people to about say 1 crore persons. I think there is not enough emphasis being given to supply reduction. There is not enough coordination on the issue of supply reduction. I've had this discussion with Abu and even with the Chief Secretary and various people who are stakeholders on this. I think there is a time which has come to decide between whether we will allow a society to live or the liberty and personal liberty and privacy of individuals. Okay, if we do not start selectively intruding into the privacy and liberty of individuals, people will die. People will keep dying. Now you have to decide whether you want your near and dear ones to survive with a little bit of compromise on their liberty, or you want them to die. I don't know whether you understand this part of it. Taikhan ke morvo divona, taikhan ke bachavo. That is the choice we have to make. If we think that we will not intrude into the, I'm not saying sabke halivi, sabke anevi, sabke dhurvi, sabke jilte halivi tu kona hoile. Okay, I'll give you an example. I've discussed with Abu. I hope health department officials are also here. I'll give you a very small example. Nagaland police last year caught about 400 odd drug traffickers. 400 odd drug traffickers. I said there are 1.2 lakh drug consumers in Nagaland. I cannot reach out to everybody. Not every one of them is on OST. Not every one of them is in rehab. Not every one of them goes to the addiction centers. But among those who go to the rehab centers or de-addiction center and OST centers also, nobody shares any information about them to the Nagaland police. It is a trade-off between privacy and liberty of individuals and strengthening the ability of the police to cut off that supply chain for them. If you don't stop that supply chain by telling us from their interrogation or their statements or things where he's getting the drug from, he comes out, 2 months down the line, he starts doing it again. He starts taking the drug again. 2 months down the line, he starts getting involved in the drug trafficking, and besides being an abuser, you are adding another trafficker to the system. Because he is going to survive on that, on consuming that drug, he will develop new and new methods to evade the police and agencies, and I have no idea about it. Okay, I'm not saying I will catch everyone. So if there are like last a year back, I was talking to someone from I think health department or social welfare department. There are about 8,000 odd persons on OST in Nagaland. Okay, I have no idea who is there. Police has no idea who is there in the OST, who is taking on OST, who is not taking it. Do you not think that this information about whoever is in OST needs to be shared with the police? I would say yes. Okay, this is my view. I would say there is a need for it to be shared. What I am not saying that if he is an OST and you share it with me, I will catch him again. No, I will not. There is something which is called burning the bridges. If he wants to rectify his behavior, rectify his life, he is going for OST. He needs to burn that bridge which will supply him the drugs again. His own sincerity towards giving up the drugs and abusers and addicts' sincerity can be judged from the fact whether in his period in the de-addiction center or detox center or at the time of OST or whatever, or rehab, whether he is willing to share details of the suppliers of the drugs with the police so that those channels can be cut off. Nobody does it. I haven't heard even a single word from anyone. Nobody shares this. How do you expect me to catch? How do you expect me to go after the suppliers? You will imagine that if 8,000 people who are in OST in Nagaland, if they tell me where they were getting drugs from while they were still on drugs, me and Nagaland police will be able to catch 200, 300 people who were supplying drugs. This lack of information that I have is hurting the fight against drug abuse. You have to decide whether you will allow the person to die or by intruding a little bit into his privacy, you will allow the society to live. Okay? And I can tell you that Nagaland police is not infamous in this. Nagaland police is very, very reasonable. Yes, there are people who have come to us saying that, sir, we have been helpful. None of you know who has helped us. Okay, so there are people who help us, but the systemic linkages which can help in this fight against drug abuse are non-existent. Okay, there is nobody who tells us, Kota se, public to chadbina, our own government departments, NGOs, rehab centers, de-addiction centers. Let me also, on a different scale, bring in, say, NGOs, even the church. None of them shares anything to the police. None of them. Okay, why I am saying the church or the religious institution, in Nagaland context it is more of church, is because I am aware that initially the churches, NBCC and the churches did try to put out a very strong sense of messaging against drug abuse. Initially they did it. I hope they are still doing it, but I am not sure whether they are doing it. But there is this informal system where psychological and medico-legal counselling is confused with religious counselling. They are not the same. What is happening in Nagaland is religious counselling. No psychological or medico-legal counselling is happening in Nagaland. Which means, हमें लगा बच्चा हमें लगा खानदान मनु बीमार ऐसे बोले चर्च ते पास्टर ते निकल ते whatever system ते आता ते लोग जाते ना ते sermonizing करे तो religious sermons दे तो ना no whatever happens with the religious sermons, I'm not saying that. I'm not talking about religious things. But imagine that a church X in Kohima gets 5 persons in a month who are drug addicts or who are abusers or who diseased people, if you say, okay. Has any church ever shared any such information with the police or with the law enforcement agencies? I'm just limiting myself to a very limited field. Okay, you know who is there. I will give you a promise. I will give you 100% promise to the churches and to all NGOs here. Anyone who comes to us, anyone who is brought to us saying that tai to itu ase, tai khai thage, bole bhi tai phosako bole mon ase, kile mane tai chhadi bole mon ase. I give you an assurance, I will not arrest him. Okay, there is no bigger assurance than this which can be given, provided he doesn't start taking the drugs while in the church or while in the rehabilitation, or after getting released from there he starts doing it. Then there is no immunity. But he wants to reform, I am there, I will protect you, I will guide you. No, I will give you that immunity, I will protect you even from any other agency which is doing it. It's just not Nagaland police which is doing it. He comes to, says, imagine, hypothetical scenario, someone comes to a church X, he's a drug trafficker and a drug user. Okay? You don't tell us. Nagaland police could not sipai khan niche level te jane thagele bi ho mama khan dosti manu ase ikona kobo. Imagine if DRI or NCB or someone comes and arrests, so kon bachavo? There are other agencies in the field, they will come and arrest. But I am saying if you come and touch me, touch the Nagaland police, touch it into the system, bring an interface with the system, I will come and shield you from other agencies also. We know this. This person is trying to be helpful to us. He is trying to amend his behavior. Please allow him. But the informal systems prevail. Informal systems are much more guilty. Yes, they are effective, but they are probably only effective at the level of the family. Beyond the family, my informal systems are not effective at all. I can give you umpteen number of examples from student unions taking money. I'll not take names of any student unions, okay? Student unions taking money, ward councils taking money, village councils taking money, youth presidents being involved in drug trafficking. Okay, all this is happening. All this is happening, and a lot of it is happening because someone who is some member of some organization, he throws his weight around and does it. Okay? And the same thing for the undergrounds also, or underground friends. I'll give you two instances about the see, it is not all undergrounds are doing it. No, my knowledge tells me that no Naga insurgent group is involved in drug trafficking. Okay? As a group, none of them are involved. But the same manner in which black sheep are there in police, there are black sheep in their organizations also. Two examples I'll give you. One is in the public domain. This is a case earlier this year. You would have, most of you who are into this field, you would have seen it in the social media and newspapers. Okay, I'll tell you this story. This is a real incident of how it happened. There were two people who were abducted from Medzifema. We got this information that two people have been abducted. How we got the information, I'm not going to share. We got this information, two people have been abducted. So we went after the abductors, we tried to rescue them, we rescued the two people. Okay, so these are two victims of a crime of kidnapping for ransom. They were abducted from one of the underground factions. We registered an FIR for kidnapping for ransom and abduction and extortion. Subsequently, the faction puts allegations on the Nagaland police. Tai khan to drugs laga madad kore thake Nagaland police. I said, okay, let's find out. Fighter told CP Dimapur, I said, Tai khan niga koya se. Then, if you would have seen this, they gave a press release. This faction gave a press release. They have taken drugs from Nagaland. Nagaland police has taken drugs from undergrounds. Now, Then we come to know that nana ito to abduction laga case hi na hoy, this is also a case of drug trafficking. Then we investigated. So what we investigated was that these two people, they were carrying 40 showcases of drugs. And there is a photograph apparently clicked by the same faction where there are 39 showcases in that photograph with these two accused persons. Okay. हमें भी पुलिस के दिया नहीं, पुलिस के हैंडओवर करा नहीं. And they said police para loise. We tried to find out Amakhan loise to who is the black sheep in Nagaland police who has taken it. Okay. Check police, police tak pahuncha nahi. We caught someone who sort of was a public leader type of person. तो ताई कोई अंडरग्राउंड खान के अपने खान के तो बचाए दिवो हमें कोथा में लाई दिवो हमें लोग यहाँ नहीं दी. So 28 showcases ताई लोइसे घोरते लुकाई दिसे. ताला घोरते पुलिस से पहुंचा नहीं थे. पुलिस से पहुंचा नहीं. 28 showcases. Now look at this. We registered a case of under NDPS Act. Rightfully so. Drug trafficking is taking place. In which those two people who were the victims in the first case, they were arrested also. Yes, they were doing drug trafficking. We arrested those and these fellows also. My message to my underground friend. This is the first story. The same message in two different instances. How many did they catch? How many did these persons say they were carrying? 40. How many were showcases in the photograph? We go by that, 39. How many were recovered from them? 28. Where did the rest go? Definitely not to the police. Okay? This is the first instance. A very recent one. No, not very recent one. A more recent one I will come to now next. The second instance. On I think 19th or 20th of this month, about say 5-6 days back, we got information that in Phek district, one of the underground factions, they have stopped someone and they have taken some showcases. I will embrace you with open arms, but there has to be a system in doing it. Okay. Either you hand it over to the local police station concerned or the SP concerned or to me, yourself, or you hand over the entire thing to the chairman ceasefire monitoring group with a written letter, let him hand over the entire thing to me. And I've discussed this with their senior leaders also. Why I am saying this is, if you do this, the chances of anyone siphoning off any part of the consignment will be zero. Tai 100, Dhorishi Kole 100 he produce koribo lagibo. If he produces 80 during his interrogation, I will be able to check. If he does not produce, then Amakanto Dhuranai. Amakanto 80 hi Dhorishi, Amakanto 10 hi Dhorishi. But once he reaches our system, he cannot do it. And it's not just for them. It is not just for the underground. About 1.5 years back, so earlier, some of you who have been dealing with drugs and drug trafficking, ganja, probably earlier days, you may be aware what police was doing. Not just Nagaland police, I think all police forces were doing the same thing. Your informer or your source will come, sir, hame apne ke dhoribo dibo, 1000 kg ganja dhoribo dibo. Oi, thik hai, aani dibi. Sir, abhi to 300 kg hame ke dibi. Oh, this was happening. Let me be honest, okay? Even for sunflower, it was the same thing which was happening. If you catch, say, 100 showcases, the source will say 30 dili. So, tai 30 dile, tai bhi trafficker ase to. Aur apne khan tai ke dile, apne khan bhi trafficking kore ase to. Oh, samjha nahi. I stopped all this. I said, you will not, none of my police officers will give a part of the consignment to any informer. We will give him cash reward if it is required. Which means there is absolute accountability within the police department that whatever is being caught is being shown in the record. If it is not being shown in the record, I will take action against my own officers. So, ami koado, ami kinega safa koru bole kore ase na, itu hisab pura hai, itu nishna hai, underground actions bhi korele bhalo hona ki. It is a collective fight. Okay, but in that collective fight, the loopholes and the gaps need to be plugged. If we don't plug those gaps, this problem is just increased. Again, I'll give you an example, okay? So it is the same for everybody, whether it is a policeman or an underground or a civil society organization or a president or a ward council or anyone in a position of authority. No, anyone who can do something. So for example, I am Rupin Sharma, I am XYZ1 constable sitting at some check gate in Kohima. And there is someone who goes with 10 suitcases, take to that's a mark for it. He can say 8 over to find the. He takes a 10,000 rupees and says, sir, itu to kini how itu lo jabi next time to na korbe. 10,000 lo to na. A dog with a bone in his mouth cannot bark. Let's be honest. Okay, I've taken 10,000. Now this fellow who is bringing the drugs, he knows next time. Itu manu thakile tahi 10,000 dekana jabo parebo to hoda hi parebo to. Okay, this is how subversion of authority takes place. I'm not saying governments. I'm saying subversion of anyone in authority takes place in this. So, please, my request to all NGOs, ward council, village council, VDB secretaries, student organization, mother organization, bacha organization, Buddha organization, any organization is there, informally handle na kori bide. You are not solving a problem, you are only encouraging these people to do it again. They will find out tomorrow, tumi ko taise tate jayenge na sir, hame laga alok madad kori debi na. Informal systems will not help. Please do not do it. I personally feel legally, absolutely legally, any informal system which is doing it is guilty of a conspiracy of doing drug trafficking, strictly speaking. Okay, if there are a few lawyers that I can see, people with law background, you will agree with me, it is criminal conspiracy. It is abetment, it is criminal conspiracy. Okay, please don't do it. If we can spread one message down the line from today's thing is, please don't allow things to be handled informally like this. Police भी power 9 fine impose करो लगा को तो NGO लगा power होगो. Even I don't have a power to impose fine for anyone who is caught doing drug trafficking. को तो NGOs fine करो. They are just extorting money. They are just helping and facilitating drug trafficking. कोसा कोले भाला से देखी जाओ. Now, if we mince word, it doesn't help. This is how it happens. You have to tell people that this is wrong. I am not making allegations against any specific person, but I am saying this is how it happens. Okay. Now, see, you sort of must have realized I'm quite passionate about this because I realize that this is a big problem we are tackling. Okay. There needs to be a very, very concerted effort. Okay, another issue, just to take the fear out of everybody's minds, everybody here, and maybe some of the media friends are going to put it on social media or whatever. In the 2.5 years of anti-drug thing that we have done in a slightly more, and I'm not saying pehla to hua nahi, it will be concerted effort. Okay. There has been just one case where a drug trafficker has been caught with a weapon. Just one case. Single case where a person who was doing drug trafficking has been caught with a weapon. Okay? So what is the lesson? The lesson is, please do not be afraid of sharing information with the police. Nothing will happen to you. These are petty criminals, if you take it. They cannot reach out to you to kill you or to harm you or your family or anything. They will not be able to do it. I can give you a guarantee of this. Now, currently in Nagaland, we are not at a stage where they will be able to do it. But tomorrow you allow it to prosper. Maybe some policeman or some underground or some XYZ NGO, they start taking over the game in a much more systematic manner, things can go worse. But currently, please do not be afraid. If you have information, share it with the police officer or share it with someone in authority who can take some action. Don't be afraid. The other part of it is, the person who was arrested with a weapon in this case was an underground. So his possession of a weapon is because he is an underground and not because he is having a weapon for trafficking. Okay? तो कोदो भय ना खाविले, भय खावले काम नहीं. Nothing will happen. And this message needs to go not just to the society but even to the drug addicts and drug traffickers, because a lot of time they think हमें ताला नाम कोई दे देता है, हमें के बिया कोई दे दो. हनीमान हिम्मत नहीं. They cannot do anything. So please encourage people by telling them that you don't need to be afraid. Encourage them to speak. Encourage them to share information. Then only we will be able to fight this. I am not very sure about the statistics on this count, but I think in Nagaland government and the society needs to really scale up the numbers of trained counselors in the society. Okay? I'm not saying religious counselors, I'm saying medical, legal, psychological counselors in the society. And this problem is not going to go away in the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So your children, your youngsters, your brothers, sisters who are, say, going to go to college, maybe think of having them to do psychology or social welfare. 3 years, 4 years down the line, they will get this employment. Because about last week when we were having a coordination meeting and Abu was also there, the government of India is also planning to set up or allow these de-addiction centers and detox centers in all districts. Okay. Now, I have a feeling currently they may be thinking of all districts, but tomorrow it will probably go to all subdivisions or something also, because of the problem, the magnitude of the problem we are facing. So we need trained counselors. I don't say that religious preaching and sermonizing will not help, but it will only help to a little extent only. You need trained counselors and medical experts to deal with this problem. This is an area where we need to actually really focus on by way of, say, education and literacy. Lastly, as I said, like, my personal opinion is that demand reduction thing we will not win, but we need to do that demand reduction also. Shihab, we had a meeting last week, so I discussed with your officers there also. I think what needs to be done is that we need to come up with unified, common PowerPoint presentations, interdisciplinary, interdepartmental presentations, which can be, say, done together with, say, social welfare department, health department, NGOs, Nagaland police, together. Maybe some other stakeholders if there are some. Come up with a uniform PowerPoint presentation which can be circulated top down to all levels of the society, including churches, police station, EAC headquarters, village councils. At least spread the message. So once we come up with an interdisciplinary PowerPoint presentation, it will cover all aspects rather than only what Rupin Sharma is keeping on saying police in Yakure, police in Yakure. So we need to include everything. maybe 10, 15, 20 slides, or maybe 100 slides, maybe some videos which can be done. Again, in today's age, I am no great fan of printing pamphlets or putting posters. For me, I think most of it is a waste of money, because a poster or a pamphlet consumes a lot of money and wastes a lot of paper. Whereas if you do electronic messages and messaging, whether through slides or PowerPoint presentations or smaller video clips or something, it just gets circulated without any additional cost except the cost of making it. So I think there is a limited budget available rather than going on printing things and wasting money on printing. I think we could come up with much better ideas on how to reach out to the public. Yes, stigma is an important thing which has to be handled. But I think to handle that stigma, that courage to handle that stigma has to come from within a person. If the person who is an addict or who is an abuser, if he does not feel the stigma, then I think there is no reason for anyone in the society, including his family members, to feel bad. हमें ही प्यार ना लगे तो family members के लिए भी आप yes, but on the other hand, we do need to stigmatize those people who are doing all this for a business, for a living. Those traffickers who are doing it, I think we need to stigmatize them. We need to sort of have a system of, say, publishing their identities or names, or getting more information and sharing information with various stakeholders. It's stigma, plus it's also sort of sending a message across that they are the ones who are doing it, so it's preventive in nature. Then it's also a method of telling the public about the achievements that we do on this front, so it's required. But again, all this is not a war which has to be fought on one front only by police or by health or health department or social welfare. I think a concerted effort of everyone is needed. Thank you for a patient listening. I hope there will be some positive takeaways for all of us, including me. I also intently listened to what the others said. Please feel free to reach out to Nagaland Police and to me if there is anything that we can do. I can assure you that if there is something that we can do, we will not bat an eyelid. It will get done. Okay, whether it is our resources, whether it is our requirement or not, whether it is in our jurisdiction or not, outside the state or not, if we can do it, we will do it. Thank you very much.
I have said this from my experience, and I have also said this based on statements issued by the NSC and IM last year and the NNPGs last year, where they have cautioned their own cadres against doing any such thing. So I would tend to trust them. Even our own investigations tell us that the factions themselves are not involved in trafficking. There could be black sheep. There could be black sheep in any segment of the society. So those people will be taken care of by the law. If any of their cadres is involved in drug trafficking, the law will prevail. So since the factions themselves in Nagaland, so far as we are aware, are not supporting drug trafficking or not conniving or conspiring with the traffickers at the level of institutions. So I don't think the public needs to be afraid about any repercussions from the factions. If you tell us, we will take action. We will, if you tell us, and we can, in that case, we can also take help of the factions themselves to take care of their own cadres, which I think they will be very happy to do it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
That with such a high number of people who are consuming drugs, it's not possible to catch all of them. We want a public partnership in combating this menace. So my message to the public is that if you have a friend or a family member or your daughter or your son or anyone who is involved in, who is an abuser, who is a drug user, please inform us. If you inform us and bring that person to us, and he is willing to share all information with us about how he was buying, where did he buy, what was his sources of drug purchase and all, we assure you that we will not take action against them. In fact, even in the NDPS Act, there is a provision that if a person who is a user, if he makes a full and complete disclosure, the quantum of punishment can be minimized for him. So I would request that, not 100% immunity, because but there is a decent backup in the laws that if anyone who shares information or with drugs and he comes to the police and is willing to undergo rehabilitation, he can be let off with a minimum punishment, or maybe not even a punishment if he wants to rehabilitate.
So you also mentioned